And welcome back. Now, the National Development Plan 2030 emphasizes that the use of digital communications has the ability to change society, and that this is, of course, a powerful means of fostering social inclusion. But in recent times, it is in this particular space that government seems to experience challenges. Now, some of these include questionable procurement of ICT services by government departments, to long queues at government departments like Home Affairs, caused at most by failing and crashing computer systems. So today we thought we'd bring the agency responsible for procurement of these information systems, the State Information Technology Agency, SITA. The executive caretaker, Luvuyo Keyise, joins us now to talk more about these developments and also the agency's mandate. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Welcome to Morning Live, Luvuyo.
Morning, Sakwena and the viewers.
So let's start with the agency's mandate. What exactly do you do?
All right. The agency, in a simplified view, one, provides your procurement services for ICT services, as we've explained, for national government and provincial government, with the exclusion of your metros and your SOEs. Secondly, we also provide what we call it transversal solutions, meaning common systems that are being used by government. We directly provide those, maintain and support those for the rest of government. And we also provide your network-related services. And for other specific services, custom service for specific departments, those we provide as and when they require, either directly or in partnership with the industry.
So when you talk about procuring for government departments, you're talking about the actual departments. What about state-owned entities? Do you get involved in that in any way?
We wish we would, but at this point, the Act excludes your state-owned agencies. But we are reaching out to them so that some of the benefits and the discounts that we're able to pass with national government, we can also give them to SOEs. But at this point, the Act excludes them and your municipalities.
So just in this example, perhaps to give viewers a little more to latch onto in this conversation, give us an example for the sort of purchases that you have made on behalf of departments that the normal South African would actually come into contact with or use on a daily basis.
All right. So you take a simple department like a Home Affairs that people use every day to apply for IDs and all of the services. So the companies that provide the real solutions for management of an IT application and that procurement process to procure that company that will provide that technology that you use to apply for your IT, that process will be happening through SITA. So we will run that procurement process for them and say, this is the company that has won the tender. We now hand over the company to you, Home Affairs, to manage its delivery. So other departments say, SITA, please help us also to make sure that this company can deliver. We get involved in that as and when we are requested to provide such a service. But that's not mandatory, meaning each department chooses whether we help them with implementation or we just stop at procurement.
And, you know, to this end, I remember this particular story, and I went to look it up because it immediately came to mind when I read about SITA. Police lose 8 million pieces of evidence. That was a story that the City Press ran about a month or so ago, or maybe a little over. And obviously, you know, it brings to mind, you know, many questions of, okay, who is involved here and what exactly has happened? So what would SITA's involvement be in a case like this?
Thank you very much. So to use that as an example, police had a separate company that was providing what we call it track and trace where the evidence is. So from when you receive it from your pathology labs, whether it's evidence for whatever the scenario, it could be rape, it could be any other crime, your DNA samples basically. So they were tracking to say, we know evidence for Luvuyo who complained for this at this point is in this police station, in this drawer, and this is the person. who is responsible for it. So they cancelled the contract with that company in June last year, and then they asked SITA to say, in the meantime, we want to make sure that citizens aren't affected. Can you develop another alternative system and make it available to us? Whilst as police, we look into all our systems, and at some point we'll go and tender, ask other companies to give us more innovative solutions. We developed that and made it available for the police, and they are using it already. So meaning now there can't be any losses of DNA evidence for submission to courts. And that is one of those services that are not mandatory. But police, because they knew the technical capability of SITA, they asked us to develop something and we've made it available. They are using it today.
Okay, I think I might be slightly slow this morning, so please bear with me. So the police or any other government department are not obligated to procure these IT services through SITA. So they do have leeway to procure that themselves. But do they have to inform SITA or not necessarily?
The law forces them to procure through SITA. The law doesn't force them to take SITA's own systems. So others says, we don't just want to procure through you. We know that you also have technical capability where you can just deliver these things without procuring them. Can you deliver? So that's the added thing that police have done to say, don't just procure, deliver something, develop, use your own more than 3,000 IT officials to develop something for us because we need it urgently. We don't want long tender processes. We need something that can happen within a month. And we did deliver such a solution.
But as per legislation, does that then mean that SITA can actually say, let's say if the police come up and they identify service provider X, does SITA, as per the legislation, have the right to say, actually, we've looked into this and as the entity that procures, we actually do not recommend this?
Thank you. That's a great question. So part of what we need to do is to ensure that there is fairness in the process of procurement. You don't just pick and choose the companies that you like. And we must give all companies in South Africa a chance to be able to compete for that solution where we check the different technologies. So for that, a direct answer will be, we will say, no, police, you can't go and choose a company on your own. Let's run a tender process in line with constitutional principles. Make sure it's fair. Make sure we allow all others with innovative solutions to come to party. And that's what we force. If you don't listen to that, you go ahead, appoint your own company without following the law. We will interdict you, cancel that contract, and ensure that you follow the process. We will bring in law enforcement officials so that you can answer to them, why are you deliberately bypassing the law? Because sometimes when they bypass the law, they get a solution that is more expensive for government, that is not fit for purpose, that is not the right one. And we do that already.
So just in this case, as we have to wrap, that particular story in the City Press said that since that computer system that was procured by the South African Police Service was shut down last June, detectives and forensic technicians could no longer say with certainty where millions of pieces of evidence and some tests that were outstanding actually were. Do you have an update on what actually happened with that system?
I can confirm to you, though, that was when the police terminated their contract with the external service provider that was providing such service in June last year, as and when they came to us in January this year to ask for a new system that we can build for them. That system was up and running before 4th of March, and they are now using that system. There is no longer a loss of evidence that needs to get to court, and all law enforcement officials are able to use that system. And the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of Police are fully aware of that system as it is used today.
And just a final one with regard to Home Affairs. I saw that SITA says they can help Home Affairs, cut down on the queues. And this is, of course, the bane of many a South African's existence. So talk to us about the solution that you are proposing for Home Affairs.
Thank you very much. So one of those things we've agreed with the ministry and the whole Department of Home Affairs is one, because it's a critical service. So you need to beef up, make sure that your systems are stable. So if you take network services, for argument's sake, you can't have your network services break. So you can't just have one line of network coming in front of your house. Have alternatives like we do in all other critical businesses to ensure that you have sustainable network services that are robust enough. Secondly, what we are looking at with Home Affairs is to say, allow people to apply for services using the already automated solutions. But you find a lot of queues in Home Affairs for people to come and collect their IDs, their birth certificates, their passport. Can't we find alternative solutions, including kiosk-based type solutions, that they can use to go and collect some of the solutions that they have? But also, we are looking into solutions to say, can you start applying for your ID and any of these other solutions without you having to start the process at the post office and at the Home Affairs? By the time you come there, you should have already submitted part of the information that is required for processing, which will then cut the process quite drastically and reduce the queues. We are now looking into those solutions to see which ones they are willing that we can support that don't bring in more security challenges to the country.
Well, we have to leave it there for today, but thank you so much for your time. Luvuyo Keyise, who is the executive caretaker of the State Information Technology Agency, SITA, that's SITA, SITA. And interesting there, and we'll learn more and hopefully we'll engage them more going forward on some of the services that they provide. Let's take a quick break.